The much maligned Philadelphia 76ers star Ben Simmons told Philly brass that he does not want to be there anymore and doesn't intend to show up to training camp. Joining me now, the man who broke that story, host of Locked On Sixers, Keith Pompey. And Keith, what more can you tell us about where this relationship stands right now?
And I think, according to the sources I talked to, they don't think that Ben Simmons can have a relationship with the Sixers moving forward. Now, again, this is today. Some things could change, but I don't see Ben Simmons being a Sixer. I think this is it. Apparently, Ben Simmons is one of those things where, he felt like he was thrown under the bus after Game 7 by Doc Rivers. He hasn't worked out with the Sixers player development staff, like everyone said. He doesn't want to come back at all. I don't see this relationship bonding at all. I think that, Ben Simmons wants to get a fresh breath of air, so to speak. He just doesn't want to be here anymore.
And he probably feels like he got thrown under the bus by Doc Rivers, because he did get thrown under the bus by Doc Rivers and Joel Embiid. So he is pretty justified in feeling that way. There have been murmurings here and some vague reporting maybe on just what the end game timeline looks like. There's going to be some who say the Sixers, they don't have to do anything. There is speculation that he wants to go to California. What do you see as the most likely timeline for this happening?
Personally, I think it's going to happen quick. I do. I think that in the perfect world, it would happen right before the start of training camp. Training camp starts on the 28th of September. I think in the perfect world, they have to make a move right then and there. Because I think the longer you keep him here and the longer things are unsettled, unless you can get Dame Lillard, right? I believe that all you're doing is setting the team back. You look at the Brooklyn Nets, you look at the Milwaukee Bucks, the Miami Heat right now. All those teams are teams battling for that seed, number one seed. And I think the 76ers, the longer they keep Ben Simmons around, the longer they're just going to fall behind everyone else. So I expect it to happen, before training camp. I could be wrong, but I also think if not, then I think it's going to happen like in the preseason or right at the beginning of the season.
I'm going to ask you this, but I understand that you may not be able to say everything that either you know or that you want to about this. But to your point about the swiftness here, and to what I was saying about, the Sixers could just wait. They don't care if Ben Simmons is unhappy. This is now out. You reported it. Do you think coming to this point and having it become public is part of them getting out ahead of the Sixers, saying, well, we're going to wait until we can get the best package, for the Simmons camp to say, no, we don't want to be here. So let's make sure we get out of here.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, it wasn't like, I don't think they wanted it out. Like,
Okay.
It was one of those, because at the same time, it could backfire on the player as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're right. The fact that it's out there is kind of sort of, like, let's just say if the Sixers say, okay, come back to training camp. We want you to work hard. We want you to do whatever. And wink, wink, you probably get traded to a team and we'll get, what we want. I think it's more or less where Ben Simmons and his camp are tired. Like they could care less what the Sixers get in return. What they think is, the Sixers are like overvaluing everything by wanting multiple draft picks. All they want is a landing spot. They know that there are teams who want him. They know teams are not willing to give up the things that the Sixers want. So by not showing up at the same way, they are forcing the Sixers' hand in their eyes. And I shouldn't speak for them, but I'm assuming they're they're forcing the Sixers' hand to where they could say, you know what? You're not going to get those 2 draft picks. You better just give them. You better just give me away before you don't get anything at all. So I think that's what the focus is right then and there.
Obviously, Ben Simmons is going to have the teams that he wants to go to. Of course, Philadelphia under no obligation to send him there. We've heard reporting about some of the teams that are interested. Probably not a big group of the Venn diagram that meet there in terms of places Ben Simmons would want to go and places interested, at least based on those early reports. What do you think? Is there a couple teams that you could see being the biggest players here in terms of the most likely outcome?
I look for the Portland Trailblazers, but not for the person everybody else says. You know what I mean? I look at it like when you ask yourself, is there one player who can come to Philadelphia and would be kind of a somewhat, close trade? And I think it's CJ McCollum. Now, again, Dame Lillard would knock it right out the box, right? But in regards to CJ McCollum, I think that the money is close. When you look at CJ and you consider him to other guys that you think are going to be a perfect fit, right now I think he might be the best one out there, not named Dame Lillard, not named Bradley Beal. I don't expect them to get Bradley. So with that being said, that's why I'm saying Portland. If I'm the Sixers, I'm calling Portland now and saying, look, let's revisit this thing. I'll give you Ben. I may have to give something else up. But I want to get somebody back in return, and that's going to be CJ McCollum.